Well, here we go again. This new technology is really terrific, and thanks to Larry and the team here at MTN, I'm getting into the state-of-the-art, high definition. Terrific. I'm Leslie Davis. You can see by the sign. I'm a candidate for governor of the state of Minnesota, and I'm a patriot, not a puppet. The people I work with are patriots, not puppets. So we could get into things, but let me put one thing out of the way first. I'd like to put up my phone number. So write that down. You may want it. You may want to throw it in the trash, but at least you'll have it, so I don't have to be flashing it all the time during the show. 612-529-5253. That takes care of that. It's Leslie Davis, candidate for governor. I've got my little sign over there. You know, the status quo wants us to stay focused on what they're doing. Oh, we've got a tax cut coming. Oh, a tax cut. So that means there's going to be less blood taken out of your body, less money taken out of your wages. You know, in my opinion, taxing a person's wages is a form of slavery. They say, well, as soon as you mention that to somebody, they come to the defense of the government. They say, well, we need taxes. We need it for this guy. Well, we need money. We don't need taxes. Taxes is not the only way to get money, but if you want a tax to get money for the budget for the school, then you do a sales tax on everything. Everything will have a sales tax, and that money can go into a big pot. You don't take money out of people's wages. Wages is what you take to go home. So now they're working on that. There's a, oh, each person is going to save or get an extra $1,000 or $2,000 in their paycheck when they file their taxes next year, and they're really agonizing over that. No taxes. When I'm governor, the ideas we're going to put forward are no taxes. We're going to put forward the money plan. The money plan is explained in these little booklets, how they switched us from wealth money to debt money, and that's what we're in now, a debt money situation. The only way money can come into circulation, and the people making all these decisions about money don't have the foggiest idea. All they do is love it and want more of it, but only money comes into circulation when somebody borrows it. So they say, well, no, it isn't when somebody pays. Well, your boss pays you with money that was borrowed at some point. He either borrowed it, or whoever buys his product or does business with him borrows the money. The only way in our current debt money system that new money can come into circulation is if somebody borrows it somewhere in the system. The problem with that is that debt has interest to it. So that makes the debt grow when you add the interest to it, but it doesn't increase the money supply. So if you go in and borrow $100 and you have to pay back 105 or 10 or 3, whatever it is, where does the extra money come from? You borrowed 100, so you pay back 100. Now where does the interest come from? You have to capture from somebody else's. So when you think about it, you capture it there. Well, where did they get it? They had to capture it. That's why we're in such trouble. That's why the debt is so extraordinary. Do you know that the state of Minnesota, now with the legislature just finishing up this week, we're $16 billion in debt. We pay that off every year, you know, borrow. They call it bonding. It's borrowing. They have nothing to bond. They call it bonding. It confuses people. That's the big advantage that the power, the status quo has over us, is that they have the microphone. They have the newspaper headlines. So they could keep telling him, oh, this is going to be good. This is what we're going to do for schools. Get out of the way. We can take care of it. The less you do, the less government interference we have, the better. Some people think it's good to have government involved in taxing the people to pay for that. I don't agree with that. So Leslie Davis, candidate for governor. When we're in, we'll be talking about the money plan. And also we're going to be talking about some of these other issues I'm going to raise. Issues like fluoride. They put fluoride in the water under the misconception that it's going to improve children's teeth. It's just not true. the hydrofluorosilicic acid that they put into the water supply to fluoridate the water is poison. And the reason they put it in the water is because they buy it from the phosphate fertilizer mines in Florida. The Mosaic Corporation buys it, and I think they sell it to somebody else, and then they sell it on to the water treatment plant because they can't dump it anyplace. How do you get rid of hydrofluorosilicic acid, the residue from phosphate fertilizer mining? They can't, so they sell it to the water treatment plants. And the good Republican Lyle Schwarzkopf in late 60, 68, he carried the water for the phosphate fertilizer industry and got the legislation passed to fluoridate our water. So it's a law in the state of Minnesota that public water treatment plants must add this poison to the water. And our teeth in the United States are no better than the people's teeth in Europe, where they don't use this poison. You know, I don't want to praise Europe over the United States because I love this country. I was in the military for it, I raised my family here, and I love this country. That's why I'm working hard and campaigning, because I want to help improve it. I don't want to walk away from it or condemn it, but a lot of countries are way up on us in terms of not allowing GMO foods, genetically modified organisms. Bad stuff, terrible stuff. So we don't want the fluoride in our water. So I want to talk about positive things. The money plan is a positive thing. That's the Davis money plan. And when you think of Davis for governor, think of money in your pocket. Think of better education. You know, I heard somebody say that might be my lieutenant governor running mate. She spoke about modifying the curriculum. Oh, I've been on that. To hear her say that was like jewels to me, because she was talking about the education we have today as a one-size-fits-all. I knew that was a problem. From the time I was in school, that was a problem. Not everybody in the 4th grade learns the same way. Some a little faster, some a little slower. So a one-size-fits-all curriculum is one of our basic problems in education. We need a little more fine-tuning, a little macro managing of the educational system. And today with the computer and these phones, these magic phones and everything, there's no reason that we can't have every student perfectly aligned with their ability to learn. You know, teach a kid Shakespeare that can't even read Yankee Doodle Dandy. Come on, knock it off. And the way you're going to know if something is terrific, if you see the Earth Protector seal of approval. Earth Protector is my organization. I formed the Earth Protectors 35 years ago to identify environmentally friendly and healthy products and services. So if you see the Earth Protector seal on something, or the emblem, or my name on it, you know it's terrific. And I fought hard for some of the issues that I've had. I've been to court. The court system is not too great. You know, I've been in front of some judges. You know, what was interesting, I had a lawsuit in Hennepin District Court. I was suing Macy's because I hurt myself on their broken negligent sidewalk. And when Macy's made me an offer, they sued me to force me to try to take their offer. But the judge, unbeknownst to me at that moment, was a former Pawlenty lawyer. When Pawlenty was the governor, she was one of his lawyers when I tried to recall him. So here I am before the judge, not knowing that she was a former Pawlenty lawyer, and trying to get justice. I had the same situation with one of Ventura's appointees. I was before him when they dragged me out of the Hennepin County Government Center on a lie, on a cheating. Hennepin County Commissioner Johnson, he said he was following a list. He wasn't following a list. So we tried to go to court to force him to show the list that you were following, that showed the speakers that you were calling, and they didn't have one. And this one judge that Ventura appointed threw my case out, wouldn't allow us to get discovery. And you know, in a lawsuit, discovery is the key to the victory. They had that in the tobacco case or all these other cases that they go forward. What discovery is you get into the other guy's knickers and you can get to see his, he asks certain questions, you get to discover, that's what I call a discovery, right? Because you get to discover what they don't want you to know. And if you get the discovery, you'll usually win your case. If you can get to the point in your case, that's why they'll make motions at the beginning, oh, it's frivolous and he's not qualified, or they'll raise all these extraneous issues to keep you from getting to trial where you can get discovery. But as soon as it looks like you're going to get to trial, then they'll cough up the settlement. Because discovery, you wouldn't go with the case. You wouldn't sue if you weren't right. So 99% of the time, when somebody sues somebody else, they're right, but the other people can hire a better lawyer, or they're more clever, and they'll do what they call procedural things to get you thrown out. So it's tough to win a case in court. You gotta have a good lawyer going for you, and then you can get some money. But money, that's the key item, isn't it? Isn't that what the legislature's talking about now? They're agonizing over the money. I went and testified at the House Transportation Finance Committee, and you know, those people making the decisions about transportation and finance and money, they don't know where money comes from and how it comes into circulation. They just don't know. They've never been educated that way. In the Davis regime and in education, where the curriculum is geared to the students, they'll all learn about the money system, where money comes from, and how our new money system of wealth money coming in through the state chartered banks. And it's on my website. It's on the Earth Protector website. It's on the Leslie Davis website. I don't have to write down, is it .org or .com? Just Google Leslie Davis, Minnesota governor, and it'll come right up. Or Google Earth Protector, and will come right up. And then you can see our work over the years. And on both sides, it talks about the money plan, how it works, where money comes from, how it comes into circulation, how the money plan works, and the legislation needed to implement the money plan. So they're blocking me. I go to the legislature, they babble on for months now, months, coming down to the last couple of days. They're going to try to make some decision, and I come in and I bring them wonderful evidence and testimony and ideas, and it give me 3 minutes. And even before the 3 minutes is up, I just get these holding up signs, wrap it up, wrap it up. The administrator of the House Transportation Finance Committee doesn't have to tell me to wrap it up. I know what 3 minutes is, and it distracts you when they disturb you and you're making a presentation. Somebody holds up a sign, tells you to wrap it up. Why do you wrap it up? My time's not up. When my time is up, I'll wrap it up. So that's what I'm talking about, the money plan. How do you like the shirt? There's a way to get them. I can't tell you here because you can't sell stuff. This is public television, sort of cable access to public television. So you can't sell stuff. But you can promote stuff. You can promote the shirts. You go to my website. You'll be able to buy as many shirts as you want. And we're going to make them out of hemp. That's what I want to do in Minnesota. I want us to go hemp from border to border. This soybean stuff and this corn sprayed all over with this glyphosate chemicals. You know what? Glyphosate is made by Monsanto. So what they do with this is they have these special seeds, for example, to grow the corn. And this corn, they won't want a lot of weeds, so now they spray it with this glyphosate, like Roundup Ready, they call it, Roundup. They spray the crops, it kills the weeds, but it doesn't harm the plant, except it poisons the stuff. So when you eat it, you're eating the glyphosate. The glyphosate is all over everything. The overspray goes on to land next door. Somebody's trying to grow organic food. Organic food is grown without chemicals and pesticides. Well, how can you grow organic on a farm next to a farm that's spraying, aerial spraying, or if wind is blowing it, even if it's not aerial spraying, say they're spraying it from tractors and hoses and stuff, and it blows over your land, and it gets on your crops. How are you going to grow organic crops next to that? Well, you can't. So I like, one of my ideas, not invented, but ideas for Minnesota moving forward, is vertical agriculture, growing up, building structures, and we can grow vertically. We could grow all winter round. We could do it with solar. That's what we want to do on the roads and bridges. When we have all this money that I'm talking about, not that their money is not the same as the Davis money. The Davis money is wealth money. It's not loans, it's not debt, doesn't have to pay back. Their money is borrowed, and if they want to build a road or fix the road, they either get the money taxed from the people, well, that money is borrowed money somewhere in the system. The money I'm talking about, building the roads, will not be taxed money, it won't be debt money, it'll be money created specifically to build and maintain state-of-the-art roads and bridges. We'll get the geothermal to keep the road warm in areas where we need to keep them warm, on the curves of the turns in the winter so they don't ice up. We could generate solar. The panels could be in the road itself, in the medians of the road. Why don't we have that? Although we should be lowered. Why are we fighting over oil line, bringing in oil lines to carry the oil to different depots and terminals? We shouldn't even be having it. We should be done with the oil and coal by now. There's enough electricity to be generated with wind and solar and geothermal and all the new technologies, especially with the new technologies, nanotechnology. That's what we need to train all our people on in Minnesota. I want to become the nanotechnology capital of the world. We've got a nice setup at the University of Minnesota, so we know all about that. The only reason a lot of these things aren't implemented is because there's not enough money for it. But I have the solution to that. You ever heard of something called Comprehensive Annual, CAFR, Comprehensive Annual Financial Report? That's a report that all the municipalities, city, county, state, township, all have to put out to show how much money they have and where the money is, not the budget. The budget is different than the CAFR, which is a Comprehensive Annual Financial Report. That shows that the city of Minneapolis, they've got money tucked away in various funds, enterprise funds, stocks, pension funds, and all that. The state of Minnesota, big pension fund, it's got about $80, $90 billion. I said, well, we're going to need that when these people retire 20, 30, 40 years. I said, yeah, but we can replace it, but let's use some of that money now. Let's start using some of that $80, $90 billion. No, they've got it parked away in the ownership of all these big companies. Who do you think owns most of the stock in these big companies? Apple and Google and Facebook and all that stuff. Pension funds, unions and government agencies and municipalities. They have all their money parked in these stocks and bonds in these big companies. So they're the ones, when they talk about, corporate America and Monsanto and Exxon and all that, look them up. See who owns the stock. When they go into the shareholders meeting, the municipalities and the pension funds represent big interests. And they want Exxon moving along and being successful because they have their money parked there. We don't want it, but we don't know that the money is parked there for the municipalities. So what would happen if they had to sell it? They'd have to invest their money in our communities, in our cities. So I want to sell off some of the CAFR money, C-A-F-R, Comprehensive Annual Financial Report money. We could get some of that cash to do what we need now, pay down some student loans, help people pay off some of their mortgages, help some businesses get along. We don't need that money parked over. It's not working for us. It's not helping us. Then we can bring in the Davis Money Plan to build our state-of-the-art roads and bridges. So the Hennepin County, for example, when they want to build a road or fix a road or whatever, they won't have to go and use the money that they tax the people for. They'll just be able to get just the way they do it now. They decide what needs to be done, how much it needs, put it out for bids. The high bidder gets it, and a state-chartered bank, not a state-owned bank. We've got the big banks, U.S. Bank and Wells Fargo, and then there are state-chartered banks, Delano State Bank, Rosemont State Bank. Those are chartered, not federally managed. U.S. Bank, they're under federal control. But we have our state chartered banks that the legislature can direct to pay for approved road and bridge project. Fabulous idea. I've been working on it for more than 10 years. My colleague, Gregory Soderberg, he's been working on it, I think he said 25 or 28 years. So that's the money plan. That's what we want to do in Minnesota. By the way, I brought along one of these other shirts. This is the same shirt, but I brought it over to the tie-dye guy. And look at what he did too. Look how cool that is, huh? Beautiful shirt. 100% cotton, but cotton is a real polluting product. I want to do hemp. I want Minnesota to be the hemp capital of the world. I want it to be into nanotechnology, little stuff, small things that could take less materials, so we don't need all that copper, nickel. That's why they want to get this PolyMet, this big mine up north, and they're pitting us against each other. I'm not against labor. I've been labor all my life. When I came out of the Army, I worked in my father's factory for 5 years. I know what labor is, and working is, and union shop, and people making a decent wage for a day's work. But no, we can't go on fighting each other with that. That PolyMet mine is a bad idea. It's owned by these foreign companies, and they're going to come in and it's going to pollute. They do all over the world. When you open up that sulfur rock and it leaches out, they use acid, and it's called acid mine drainage. The water, the acid leaching out of the processing of the sulfide ore will leak over time. The company says PolyMet, not really PolyMet, it's Antofagasta, somebody, some Bafangul, some foreign company. They say, oh no, we can secure it. Yeah, that's what they always say. We'll put barriers in place and we'll have state-of-the-art capture technology. You can't do it. Acid mine drainage will leak over time. May not be in my lifetime, but I don't just work on things for my lifetime. My Earth Protected work for the future. So look at that beautiful shirt. So you can get an Earth Protected shirt, but you can't get it from me here. Sometimes I give them away online, and if somebody calls in and whatever, nothing prevents me from giving away a shirt. Maybe I will. Why don't you call me? Here's the number. Give it again. The first 2 calls that I get at this number, asking for a shirt, leave your size on the t-shirt. I think I have them up to 2XL. Call me, leave the size shirt, and I'll send you a shirt. I'll pick up the postage and everything for it. Can't sell it to you. Okay, so that takes care of that. Let's see where we are here now. Information about roads and bridges. I'd like to send you this booklet, if you're interested. How they made the switch on us from a wealth money system. What do I mean by a wealth money system? In the old days, when a guy used to dig his ore out of the ground, used to dig his gold out of the ground, he would take it to the mint and they would stamp his gold into coins. Then he had money to spend. Rather than carrying around his gold, he had some coins. So over time, if you had a lot of gold, a lot of coins, you wanted to go buy something big, they would deposit the gold in the banks. And the banks realized that people weren't coming in for the gold. They issued little paper certificates that said, you have so much gold on deposit with us, and you can use this paper thing, which is where the idea for the paper money came about. It's supposed to be evidence of the gold, but today, you know what it's evidence of? Nothing. It's debt money. And the state of Minnesota owes billions, and they're now going to borrow about $2 billion. That's what they're fussing over. Oh, the Republicans, the austerity program, they said, well, we're Republicans, we don't like to do, we're only going to borrow 900 or 1 billion. And the Democrats, they want to borrow 2 billion because Dayton wants to do certain things with more money. Well, if you're going to have the debt, what's the difference? If you have 16 billion or you add 2 more and you've got 18 billion, the problem is that sooner or later it's going to catch up and you're not going to be able to get any more debt. Or whoever you owe the money to, they're going to call in the debt like they did in 2008 when people lost their homes with those phony mortgages. That's coming around again. You know, you could see them, they're lining up, they're real careful. The Fed said, oh, we're going to have to raise this 0.25% and 0.5%. They said that same old crap in 25, 6, and 7, in 1929 and 1970. They're liars. They're just full of crap. They have no idea what it is. So they had these convertible debentures, and they have those bonds that they sold, bonds. And the banks, where did the federal government get the money to bail out the banks? And if they have money to bail out the banks, why do they borrow from the banks? Why does the federal government owe trillions of dollars? Not 16 billion like Minnesota, but trillions. Who do they owe the money to? And how does all that work? And that's what works against you. As the government owns more money, it makes it more difficult for the private sector to get access to money. So we need to begin to make that conversion. And let's see what the notes are. And you need to stay healthy. The 4 worst things that you can put in your body in terms of food, and a lot of people are not going to like this: sugar, especially the high fructose corn syrup, sweetener. That's in all the soda in all the schools. In my administration, there'll be no soda machines in the schools. Pepsi and Coke are competing for the soda machines to sell the children soda in the school. They don't talk about opioids. They talk about other harmful things, substances people are putting in their body. What about sugar? Well, they're not going to squawk about sugar because the sugar people, the sugar beet people from northwest Minnesota, they spend millions, no kidding, lobbying and hiring people to make sure that nobody messes with the sugar. I put sugar in everything. There's sugar in ketchup. There's high fructose corn syrup in applesauce. I bought the other day, high fructose corn syrup. It's the second ingredient. After apples, it's high fructose corn syrup. And which is it? Where do they have that? I think it's Target brand, loaded with high fructose corn syrup. So the sugar, enemy number 1. Wheat, this is bread you think is harmless and fun, eating a sandwich or a Subway sandwich. Cut down on your wheat. You're not going to cut out all these things, I understand that, but cut down. Cut down on the sugar. I see people walking out of the store, they pay $1 for a big giant thing of high fructose corn syrup laden soda. That's dead. Not only rots the teeth, it damages your body. Where are they learning this stuff? Who's teaching them? Who's helping them? Then wheat, everything. Wheat, bread and rolls and dinner, wheat for breakfast, you have pancakes, sandwich for lunch, and you have wheat. I think I've got 30 seconds to go here, and I'm going to have to wrap it up. The third one is sugar, wheat, the oils, the cooking oils. Watch out for that. So I'm going to have to wrap it up because my time's up for today, but I'll be back next week. Thank you for watching.